Everyone in the service industry has a story. Crazy customers, wild orders, and WTF moments. Do you want to start a tab? The podcast here to bring you those tales from behind the bar. My name's Carl, and I think if you add all the years up, I've been in the hospitality industry for half my life. So 20 plus years.
Oh, if you're including Taco Bell and shit, like we talked about last week. My name's Riley, and I have not spent a significant amount of my life working in the service industry, but I have spent a lot of my time eating out and frequenting bars. So
Yes, that happened.
yes.
But eating out.
I have experienced a lot of the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
Also, my parents owned a restaurant for like the first 8 years of my life. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Well,
but
no, not the first 8 years. Well, my grandparents and my grandma.
yeah, but you weren't in double digits yet, so like.
I was raised there, so.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So what we like to do on this little lovely podcast is read stories about the hospitality industry through the eyes of the guest or the employee, talk about it, should have been handled differently, and have some fun conversation.
Yes.
Then rate that story 1 through 5, 1 being your average story, 5 being a holy shit, I'm going to call my parents right now and tell them I'm sorry. I don't know why that came up, but that's how it came out. And since we're adults who like to drink, we are drinking another Fling craft cocktail from Boulevard. It's a canned cocktail. This one is their Blood Orange Vodka Soda.
Yep.
And this one is 3 years old.
Yep.
So, yeah.
We found stuff in our basement that we forgot we had, and we're drinking it.
Drinking it. Why not?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's much better than the last one.
Yeah, much better.
But this one, I feel like it's going to be fine no matter what, because it's blood orange and vodka.
Right. This would be better if it was 90 degrees outside and not 60 degrees.
Yes, it's very much a pressed seltzer alternative.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So, anywho.
I'll go first this time.
Okay, well.
Because I was looking at the comments from last week's story.
Okay.
About the family who provided
their 21
a fake ID to their underage daughter.
Yes.
And I found a comment from the OP.
Oh, hello there.
Nick at Night responded to, it was another fake ID comment that wasn't as fun to read, but basically the daughter was sobbing at the table and the mom was upset that she tried to use a fake ID and the dad was laughing his ass off. So it's not a good story, but this story is pretty fun.
Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. The
OP is responding to a comment about
commented.
That. Yeah.
Okay, yes, I see.
This reminds me of my first day at the neighborhood bar I mentioned in my post. This group of girls came in and I asked for IDs. The second to last girl hands me her ID. The ID belongs to a friend of mine, someone who I worked with at my last job. I put the ID in my pocket. She asked why I did that, and I replied, because the person in the ID is a good friend of mine, and I know 100% that this isn't you. Your friends can stay. You gotta go. She started sobbing. I eavesdropped, and apparently her sister let her borrow that ID and had found it a month or so earlier. She snuck back in an hour later and approached the other bartender asking if we had found her ID and that she might have lost. I told her to leave or I was calling the cops. After texting my friend, she told me she had already had a new ID, so I cut this one up. The next day, her sister called asking if we found the ID. I told her we found it and to come on in. When she came in, a huge smile on her face. She asked for the ID, and I handed her the cut-up strips. The sheer look of terror on her face still gives me so much joy 8 years later.
What fucking neighborhood bar is this fucking audacity is going on all the time? Fucking put it in the comments so we come and visit.
Right.
Let's go and visit.
Right.
But damn, that is just, I don't even know, Nick at Night. I don't even know. Just good job, bud. Like, so, oh man. Oh, I don't, it's just like stupidity. Like,
right.
How much do people just want to argue all the time? Like, look, man, you got caught. Just, you're not that good.
You got caught, leave it. Especially if it's an ID you found.
Yeah.
But try again next time, bud.
Yeah, you tried. Good job, little buddy. Move on. But it's funny that they have an ID of a friend that is, or a friend
Yeah,
of the
just
bartenders.
like a happy coincidence,
Right?
That ended up being.
Yeah. And that's not even the best part of the story. The best part of the story is the fucking sister coming in the
trying
next day,
again,
getting it
yeah.
back, and just like hands in chunks, knowing like. But it's also funny that the little sister didn't text the big sister saying, "Oh, the bartender took my ID."
Well, she probably did, but was gonna try it anyway.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, listen, I never fucked around with fake IDs, partially because I did not know how to get one.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I didn't care about. I didn't
care about getting one.
about drinking
because I always knew somebody who'd buy me alcohol.
Well, and then also in Iowa, back when I was 19 and 20, it was okay for us to be in the bar till bar close.
Yeah, that changed between you and me.
Yeah, we're only a couple years difference.
Only 10.
Only 10. And so they would like either put marks on you or. I've been 6'3" since like fucking 10th grade, and they never really checked my ID. But also, I was just going to hang out with friends, and it was usually 21 pitchers for $21. So like whatever. But anywho, sorry, I'm rambling now.
Yeah, I remember when it switched.
Yeah,
I remember when it switched because I bought tickets to a concert when I was 19.
Yeah,
and it was at First Ave Live in Cedar Rapids, and they wouldn't let me go. I was pissed.
Yep.
Because it was supposed to be Framing Hanley, I think.
Yep.
Oh, or I think they were playing with Trapped, which at the time I was okay with it. But
Trapped would have been fun. At the time.
Yeah, at the time. But again, this is one of those stories where the stupid compounds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm going to say this is, I think just for the sheer coincidence, it can't be less than a 3.
Right.
Because this was their friend's ID. But I'm gonna say it's probably I'm gonna give it a 4 for tenacity. Like they tried 2 separate times after the ID got taken away to get it back.
But also the bartender has to be thinking, I'm going to keep this cut up ID at least for a day or two. Because usually if you cut something up, aren't you just gonna throw it away? Like you just naturally
would think
cut up and throw it away. So they're holding on to it thinking.
Well, no, because they said they asked the friend and maybe the friend hadn't responded until that day. And maybe she called before it got cut up or something like that.
I don't know.
But there are too many variables that we don't have enough information about for that to be
every fucking
included
story
into the ranking system.
Right. I'll give this a 3. It's a solid 3, I think.
Right, because like if you were bartending and somebody handed you Carrie or Maggie's ID, you would ask Carrie or Maggie if they were missing their ID. Yeah. And you'd wait for them to respond to cut it up.
Right. That's true.
So, because how many times have you lost your ID?
None.
0. Zip, zilch, nada.
But no one looks like me.
Your brother is a carbon copy of you.
No,
almost.
that's the good. So that is something like, I didn't even think about this yet, but we did fuck with IDs back in the day. But I would have never got in trouble. Technically, my brother would have because he's a year younger than me. He took my ID to go like buy cigarettes and to drive.
Right.
And I told him like, look, I'm just gonna tell him like you took my ID.
Right. I'm not going under for you.
No, like you're the idiot that doesn't want to go do driver's ed. Right. Like this is on you.
Well, that's like I've said before. I could have, my sister and I could have pulled it off if we were the same height.
Yeah, we're 10 years different. You guys are 10 inches different in height.
She's 5'4" and I'm 6 foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
but honestly though, like she could have probably pulled it off a lot because no one, you just glance at it.
But again, we were in Pella.
Yeah, that's true.
Where there was one bar that the college kids would go to. Those bouncers they weren't on it, but they were on it enough.
Good, right? Because they probably see it all the time, especially when you're the only place that you know this is going to happen.
Right.
Your game has to be on. But yeah,
it also depended on if you knew the bouncer or not.
Sure. All right, my story is something I read a couple weeks ago, but unfortunately, I put God damn, I even screwed up the second. Chipmunk voices on us by accident. So here we're gonna go. Because at the time it was great because it was done like the story was like 2 hours old, so it was like kind of cool because we hadn't done one that way. But it's 14 days now. Bartender subreddit by Tracy AK13. Seeking advice on how to deal with bartenders that treat their barbacks poorly. Another rant. I'm really liking these rants. Just people just.
Yeah. Also, just from the title, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Right, exactly. It's a little longer one. Drinking is probably not the best thing to be doing while reading long posts. But.
That's why it's fun, though, right?
I started barbacking full-time 4 months ago. That isn't a long time, but I enjoy it a lot. I'm a quick learner. I'm always trying to find ways to run things more efficiently and learning bartender preferences. I've been showered with compliments from managers, coworkers, even patrons telling me, you're the hardest working person in this place. I don't relish those comments, especially in front of my coworkers, because I don't want them to resent me. I believe I'm good at my job because I've moved up quickly. I learn and continue to stay curious about lots of little things to wow your bartender. I've been successful getting the best shifts at the best locations in a bar with an owner that is often manic, freaking out, being rude, or really never being respectful towards anyone that works for him. This is all to say, if I was fucking up in some way, then I know I'd hear about it immediately. I also ask for feedback, and a lot of people know I'm happy to do things differently. Unfortunately, all bartenders have different opinions on how things should be work, and a lot of them don't align. Some bartenders gush about any chance they get, and others are clearly agitated when I'm in their space. I've done my best to roll with the punches as I continue to learn, but Saturday night really got to me. Earlier in the day, a bartender shared with me that she didn't really believe barbacks should be behind the bar and hated when they were behind her. I was quite taken aback because it's literally in the name, barback. I stand off to the side doing dishes or whatever else if I'm not bringing ice, restocking, etc. I had 2 bartenders at the bar I was backing, and one of them occasionally threw me in at random times by asking me to go get a glass of espresso martini or make a Tito's soda and ring the customers up. Things get really busy, so it's at least nice to handle more customers' orders in a shorter amount of time. The other bartender was visibly upset that I was doing this. She started complaining to the bartender that I don't need to be doing it. She took it upon herself to pull myself and my floor back person who supports me aside and condescendingly tells us that we are also on glassware since we didn't have anyone that night. This is something that she had already been discussed beforehand with our boss. We acknowledged that we understood, and I had been exhausting all my resources, texting the other barbacks, asking if they had spares, and continued to walk the floor. A short while later, I was walking towards her station with some single cups to keep her topped off. I really don't know how the collision occurred. I just know 1 second I was walking, and the next I was falling forward, unable to catch myself with the cups spilling out in every direction on the floor. I gathered all the cups, plastic, thank goodness, and got them back to the dishwasher ASAP. I was in shock for quite a while. For context, I played rugby for 10 years. That hit was just as hard as the hardest I've had to take. My knees and legs were also scratched up and bloody from the fall. I don't at all believe she did it on purpose. I do believe the issue is if she believes I shouldn't be in her space, which is behind the bar. If she did, she may have had some self-awareness that the cups she had just chewed us out about we brought up to her, or ice or limes, etc. And she doesn't. I ended up taking 5 to 10 minutes to cry it out in the walk-in refrigerator.
Good for you.
My coworker and fellow barback came in, asked me what was wrong, and I was just like, why is she so fucking mean? I really didn't expect a response out of someone so sweet, but she knew exactly who I was talking about. She said, oh my God, she's a fucking bitch. She really is. That's it. I'm going to go talk to her at the end of the night. I asked her not to because I wanted to catch up on sleep and take some time to determine if any action was necessary. I still haven't said anything, and I'm not sure it's worth it. She has no interest in changing. I was used to being silently hated for taking up space for restocking the refrigerator with high noons, Red Bulls, and other cans throughout the night. Getting body slammed to the ground seems to have shaken the resolve at least momentarily. Is this condescending and rude behavior very common? It's frustrating that some people think I'm great and others clearly have an issue with the way I work, but don't give me feedback to improve. They just prefer to talk shit. Does anyone have any advice? Thanks so much for reading and responding. Whew, that was a long boy.
First of all, the people who talk shit about barbacks are the people who are pissed that they have to tip out. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. They have nothing against you being behind them. They have nothing against you. They're just mad they have to pay you.
Yep.
Which...
Well...
Fuck yourself.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying, but also, I think this person just feels
Also,
like this person's coming up and coming after their job. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
like,
that.
You're
Also
afraid
that.
like this person's like, you know, like, oh my God, I hear compliments about this barback
Right.
all the time from staff, from
So
guests.
let me rephrase. People who behave like this are insecure about their money.
Yeah.
Which generally tends to lead to the fact that they're not great at their job.
Yeah. Or they're just good enough to keep it going.
Yeah. Like I have never seen a server who was extremely good at their job be terrible. Like just be terrible to people. Whether it's patrons, whether it's guests, whether it's other people working with them. I've never seen a server who's good at their job scream at the expo.
Right. It is crazy when people do that shit.
Right. So, first of all, don't take it to heart. This is not a you problem. This is a them problem for sure.
Yeah, and I get it, right? Like, I don't want you to go make a bigger deal of it than it is and all this other shit. But it's also like, they are on your side because they know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
You didn't
And
have-
also this person needs this bartender who doesn't want you behind them when your title is bar back. You're literally at their back. Needs to learn a lesson.
You know, and like we were saying earlier with the whole tipping out thing, like their job is to make you as successful as possible. They're doing
Right.
all the petty shit that takes time.
Right. The time that you don't get paid for. Because if you are a bartender, you're getting paid to make drinks and you're getting tipped on how many drinks you put out. If you have a bar back refilling the ice, which takes approximately, let's say 2 minutes on average.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 minutes. Because depending on how far away your ice machine is and whatever. 2 minutes is probably low, but we'll say it. That's 2 minutes that you're not making drinks. And how many drinks, Carl, do you make in a minute?
In a minute, depending on what they are, 2 to 3.
Right. And that's high-end cocktails, not fucking Jack and Cokes.
Right.
So that's, let's say,
In 2 minutes, you can make 5 drinks easily.
yeah, let's say 5 on a minimum that you're getting tipped on.
Yeah.
Your barback deserves a tip out.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had a bar back in any of my times bartending. I did have a semi bar back, Brett.
And this bar is busy enough to have a bar back and then a floor back or whatever they're called,
Right.
which is the barback's bar back.
And then they have another section where there's another bar set up. They have other barbacks
Right.
where she's communicating in the fucking cooler with other barbacks.
Right.
What
They're
the
working
fuck?
so hard.
What the fuck?
They are working so hard to make sure that you can just continue to make cocktails on cocktails on cocktails and cocktails on cocktails.
It's not even-
and you don't have to fucking worry about a goddamn thing.
And it might not even be like cocktails. It might just be beers,
Beer.
Jack and Cokes, and vodka sodas and high noons.
Or maybe it's just like a beer, a Manhattan, an old fashioned,
Right, like super simple,
it
right.
is- like maybe
This bitch is going to make $1,000 in the night. $600 to $1,000.
right, and she has to tip you out what 10% of that.
Who knows? I don't even know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
But even still, like if I was making $100 and somebody was bringing me ice all night,
I'll give them 10%.
and I would give them $20.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad about giving them $20 because you know what? I didn't have to go get fucking ice.
Right.
And my garnishes are cut. And my garnishes never run out. And if I run out of glassware, it's not my fault. Or it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the people who are still drinking out of the glassware, which is a good problem to have.
This bartender's just insecure about who they are
Yes.
and how they are at their job.
Right.
And they're afraid this new person coming up through the ranks, because there are some people, they just want to be a barback. I don't want to do the interaction. I just want to keep my head down and know these are like the 20 things I need to do.
That's me. I'm that person. I just want to make sure all of the things are filled. I want to make sure all of the glasses are there. I don't want to talk to service well is like my dream job. Like once I know the cocktails, but like service well or bar backing, yes, fucking sign me up because I don't want to talk to people because I am awkward. But you know what? If I can make you do better, I love that. I love that for both of us because if you make more money, I make more money.
That's all it is. At the end of the day, we all make more money. So
And to not want a bar back behind you when it's literally their fucking job. Fine, you know what? You don't want me behind you? I won't be. Watch what happens when your beer run out, when your garnish run out,
Yeah.
when you don't have ice, when you don't have cups, when you don't have literally call me when you're out of service naps. Please, I fucking beg you.
right. Yep. I get it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Just so many insecurities and whatnot. So, but they got too cush. They're making a bunch of money, and they don't want that cushy job to go away.
And the best way to respond to this person is, I mean, so you talk a lot about talking to management, and obviously this manager is manic and not a good manager.
So I have thoughts about that, but go ahead, keep going.
So talking to the manager might not do well. So go above them for sure. Talk to your GM. But at the same time, maybe don't do a good job one shift. See what happens.
Right. I get that.
See what happens.
I feel like it's hard to go above someone's head, like, and just go straight out. This situation is one of those situations where I think you just still need to at least address to the assistant GM
absolutely,
or whatever.
for
Just
sure.
like, hey, look, this is what's going on. What do you want me to, how are we supposed to make this better?
Right.
And see what they say.
And if nothing happens,
Then you go up. You say, hey, I went to the assistant. This is what they told me.
yeah, and I am the level of petty. So if talking to the assistant manager doesn't work and they are still continuing, oh, barback shouldn't be behind the bar, you're in my way all the time. Let's not forget that you were like accosted, assaulted. Like a fucking injury occurred. File a workman's comp.
Right. Yeah.
If they're not going to fix it, file a workman's comp.
Yeah. Which they probably have it on fucking tape. I mean,
Right.
Okay, not probably. There's probably a good chance that there's interior cameras that have it to where you can go back and see what happened.
Right. But I also love malicious compliance. So if this bartender doesn't want you behind the bar, but they need bev naps or they need cups or they need whatever, put it at the end of the bar. Make them put it away themselves.
Right. It's kind of
I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. You asked me not to be behind the bar, but hey, you're out of Heineken back there. Here's the Heineken.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm doing my job.
You little bitch.
Like, it would take me a lot to get to that point of petty, to like actually following through with the thought.
Yeah.
Getting rugby tackled absolutely would be on top of that list.
Yeah. I would say throughout the years, this kind of like respect or disrespect to your fellow employees is going a lot less, right? Like, because I think the internet has changed us a lot because like people are like, how do anyone work in these environments all the time? It's being caught out more. So rating wise, 3.5.
Nah. Because first of all, it should be a 5 for having a barback that's like enthusiastic and wants to be there and who constantly gets praise. Like, awesome. That minimum is a 4. And to have a bartender who doesn't give a flying fuck about their barback and is ungrateful to say the least, it's probably like a 1.5. You get those everywhere. But I don't know. I still think, what did you say? Sorry, I forgot.
3.5.
I don't know. I'm still going to go with a 4. I'm going to go a 4. Because we rated this a 5 the first time we read this story.
So, because I've been dwelling on it for 2 weeks now. Not dwelling on it, but I've been randomly. Okay, so I actually disagree with your statement about barbacks thriving. I think
a lot of barbacks are enthusiastic because they want to be bartenders someday, but like...
Right, and so they have to know, like I think we have a hard time. We just kind of have to guess how that all works and see, because neither of us have been in that environment with barbacks and all this other stuff.
I remember why it was a 5 though.
Okay.
Because the barback has a floor back. Fucking wild.
Floor back, yeah, right. You have an assistant? I don't even have a fucking assistant.
Right. You own the fucking place and you don't have an assistant.
Fuck. Don't be a dick. Tip your bartenders and drink responsibly.